You know, something's always bothered me. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So Halloween's right around the corner, so I thought I'd do a special video. So as you can see here, I've made a Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy Krueger glove. This was pretty fun to make. I tried to make it as close to the film look as possible, using the materials and everything. And this is the real deal with razor sharp knives and all. So the Nightmare on Elm Street movies have always been some of my favorites ever since I was a kid. And I've always loved and always wanted one of these gloves. But over time, and as I was watching the movies, I always picked up on some of the problems with the design. So I thought it'd be a fun Halloween video to address some of the problems with this design, and then try and make a better version, the Operation Let's Do This way. So without further ado, let's do this. Bitch! 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 Bitch!
I said, bitch.
So, first of all, the sharp-eyed among you probably noticed that the blades are not attached to the glove the way that they are in the films. That's because in the films, the blades are soldered onto the copper pipe. I might be totally wrong here, but I just don't think that that is a very strong attachment, especially since you're using two different kinds of metal. So I decided to go ahead and rivet my blades on in 2 spots per blade. That makes it a very much a secure connection. And I know I said I wanted to make this glove as close to the film as I could, but I just could not, in good conscience, make something that I thought would fail. So I went ahead and improved the blade attachment on this version, which I will do the same thing on the new version as well. So that's just one of the problems I had with the original design of the glove. So another thing I thought would be a problem was, if you'll notice that the blade bits, they are tucked underneath the knuckle piece. When I was building it, I thought that it wouldn't lock the joint very well. So this appears to work just fine, but I think that having this piece overlap the knuckle piece will be a stronger overlap. So I'm going to address that in the new version. And finally, and most importantly, the top knuckle piece has been riveted onto the back plate, which means that this knuckle doesn't bend. You can only bend these like outer knuckles, and that's the only kind of dexterity you have with this glove. So as you can see, you can only bend that first joint. But I'm going to address that and make it so that you can bend more of your hand and give you more dexterity with the blades. So yeah, if we address all of these issues, I think we'll have a glove that even Freddy would be proud of. So let's get started. So the first thing I got to do is cut off the bits of copper pipe that are going to form the 2 knuckle sections of each finger. I'm going to stick with the kind of materials that Freddy Krueger would have on hand. And it's not really discussed in the lore, but I believe his job was to be a kind of an overall handyman / custodian for a school, mostly because he works in the boiler room, which is something that you would find in a kind of an institutional building. And a school gives you access to all the kids that he murders, him being a child murderer. So much like the original glove, I'm using copper pipe and a cowhide work glove. So I designed the pieces that would fit around my fingers and measured them as such, and so that's how I'm cutting these pieces. And once I've got my design all worked out and my pieces cut, now I have to just kind of draw them onto the copper pipes and mark the places where I will cut them with a Dremel tool. I'm cutting them out with the cheap little Dremel cutoff wheels, and let me tell you, this project really eats those things up. So now that I've got my pieces cut out, as you can see, I have to take this fingertip piece and squish this end so that the blade can be attached into that. So I take a screwdriver, it's roughly, the handle is about like the size of a gloved finger, and I crush in the vise this bit flat. So let's do that. So here's what we got. I got the pieces for all 4 fingers all cut out and shaped. Now I got to make the back plate, this part right there. I basically just take a chunk off that copper pipe and slice it down one side and flatten it out. So let's do it. Now for the blades, on both gloves I'm using steak knives, and that's because they come in sets of 4, which is perfect, and they are very inexpensive. Now in the opening scene of the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie, where he's actually building his glove, you'll notice that he uses fish fillet knives. He kind of dumps them out of a paper bag in one scene, and you can see, if you look close, there are 2 fish knives. And I was wondering how he got 4 blades out of those. But then I realized he had made the ingenious decision to cut the blades down the middle, thus making 2 small curved blades out of each one of them, which is a pretty smart idea. So big props to Freddy. So like I said before, I'm using the same blades as I used on the more film-like glove. In this case though, I'm not going to cut the knife down. In the other glove I had cut it and made the blade a lot thinner. But in this case, I'm going to leave it whole, so it has a nice big blade. So here they are. Blades are all ready to be attached. Next step is to drill the holes and rivet the blade onto the copper. Okay, so I got my back plates all cut out and shaped and the holes drilled to attach to the gloves. So why are there 2? Well, last time I checked, I have 2 hands. And when you buy a pair of gloves, you get 2 of them. So I'm going to make a left-hand glove because this is Operation Let's Do This. And we don't do anything halfway. Now I don't want to make another bladed glove for the left hand, because when you're trying to hunt down and murder teenagers, sometimes you have to manipulate things like opening doors and whatnot, and the blades on the right hand glove make it pretty difficult. So I found online a picture, and I don't know if it's from a deleted scene or what, maybe some kind of production still, but it shows what appears to be a series of prototype gloves that Freddy used to test out designs. And one of them just has some kind of a spiked knuckle type apparatus. So that's the one I'm going to make for the left hand. I'm going to make it my own design though. I'm just going to cut out 4 sections of copper tube, design, cut out, and shape them exactly like I did for the previous pieces. Doing that gives me these, which are simply knuckle pieces with a ring that go on over the fingers. And they look like that. I've gone ahead and drilled all the rivet holes, as you can see on these, and also on the all the other parts. So now I'm ready to attach everything to the gloves. So for the left-hand glove, I got to put spikes on these knuckle pieces. So I'm going to have to drill 2 new holes per knuckle. And for the spike, I'm using these 1.5-inch nut and bolt combo. They are look like that. I'm just going to put them through, tighten it with the nut, and sharpen the end. And that should do it. So let's get started on that. Oh yeah, that is nice. Both of these gloves came out very well. As you can see, this glove, it's got kind of a scale-like effect, how it overlaps. Kind of reminds me of the ring wraiths in Lord of the Rings. And I think I've solved a lot of the problems I had with the original glove. As you can see, I've got a lot better finger bendability. And the underside rings coupled with the rivets to the actual glove gives it a good strong joint lock, so you're not going to torque your fingers back. And I didn't mention it before, but one of the reasons that I think this works so well is because the copper finger plates are riveted to the glove directly instead of to each other. That's how the original glove is. They are riveted in a hinge, as you can see. Hope you can see that. But in this glove here, I've put it to the glove directly, and I think that increases the dexterity. I also didn't mention it, but it's pretty obvious. These blades are double-edged. The backs are where the steak knives originally were sharpened, but I sharpened the dull end for these, so you can do some back and forth swiping. And let's not forget the left hand. This came out really good too. It's very mean. Spikes are very sharp, and you get good hand dexterity. You can do everything with this hand that you couldn't do with this one. So without further ado, I present to you the Operation Let's Do This multi-part, multifaceted, force multiplying, teenager murdering system. Now this glove, this is okay if you're hunting children, but sometimes you got to go after a grown-ass man. So where this glove will do fine against Glenn, this glove, or at least both of these gloves, are what you would want for Captain Jack Sparrow. So I guess that just about does it for this video. Like and subscribe if you care to. And happy Halloween.